In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this zipper snack pouch. The size is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 finish, but once you know how to do it, you can make it any size you want. And I'm going to use fabric stamping for embellishing the pouch. Here's the back, and it's perfect for carrying your snacks in your lunch bags instead of using the plastic bags all the time. It's definitely green friendly and it's washable, and it's the perfect size for filling with cookies or pretzels or even carrots. So let's get started. In order to make the snack bag, you're going to need the patterns from the website. You're also going to need 2 different kinds of fabric here. I have a little bit of a light color solid fabric. This is going to be on the front of the bag. And then in contrasting, I have another cotton print here. And you really don't need that much. You just pretty much need a scrap of fabric that you're working with in order to cut out our pattern pieces here. So I would get it probably like 9 inches by, I would say that's 12 inches. You're going to need a 4-inch zipper, a rubber stamp, a stamp pad, which is meant for stamping on fabric, and then thread, pins, and your scissors. So let's get started on cutting out our pattern pieces. So to cut out our pattern piece, you're going to need to cut out the back, the front top, and 2 of the corners on whatever you want your print to be on the back of the snack bag and also on the corners and at the top. And then out of the light color solid, you're just going to cut out the front bottom. You're just going to cut out 1 of this and 1 of each of these and 2 of these. As you can see, you don't really need that much fabric at all. You can pretty much work with scraps if that's what you have. So the next step is just to pin it and then just carefully cut out your pieces. The next step now is we're going to work with our light color solid here, and you're going to make sure that the longest side, that's the bottom, is down here at the bottom, and this is longer than this side here. So we're also going to do our 2 corner pieces, and I know they don't look like corners yet, but I'm going to show you how to do that. You're going to take it and you're going to place it right side to right side, right at the corner of our light color solid here. And what we're going to do is we're going to sew from this corner diagonally across to this corner. And I'm not really that great at eyeballing it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my sewing gauge and my fabric marker to draw a line. So now when I sew, I have something to follow, and it'll be as straight as possible, like that. So once that is set, I'm just going to pin it. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. So right side to right side, down at this corner. And then I'm going to draw a line from this corner to this corner. So then when they open up, you're going to see a triangle at the corner of our brown fabric here. So again, I'm going to draw a line, and after this point, then we're going to take it to our sewing machine and go ahead and make those stitches. I'm just going to do a regular stitch now on my corners here, and I'm going to follow my fabric marker. And I'm going to do that for both sides. When I get to the end here, I'm going to do another back stitch. Okay, so that one's done. And now I'm just going to do it the same thing on the side. The next step is we're going to trim our corners just diagonally like that. So we're going to leave about 1/4 inch seam allowance here past our stitching line. So I'm just going to rotate this like this. Just trim it like that. So this is my stitching line right here, and then there's the edge. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And the next step, what you're going to want to do is we're going to open this up like this. And you're going to take this fabric, this extra edge fabric here, and you're going to push it so it's all going to lie underneath this fabric. So I'm going to flip it over like this, and you'll see it's pressed in towards the brown fabric. And I'm going to do the same thing with this side here. So I'm just going to go ahead and press that open, and then we're going to move on to the next step of creating our little stamp design in the middle. So the next step now is to stamp our fabric here, and here I have my ink pad and my rubber stamp that I'm going to use, and it's just like stamping with paper. I'm just going to press my stamp against the ink here, and I want it to be fairly dark when it comes out, or at least not too light. So I'm going to try to use a lot of ink here, and then get it, just stamp it wherever you want to stamp it. I'm going to try to get it in the middle here. Set it down carefully and press at the top. Try not to rock it, we're just pressing straight down and then lifting straight up, so that's fine. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cover it with a fabric of some kind just to absorb any extra ink if you have it. And then with a warm iron, you're going to press down, and the heat sort of sets in the ink in order to make this washable. So I'm going to do that next. And then we're going to move on to the next step of starting to install our zipper. Okay, so I have my 4-inch zipper here, and here again is my front bottom, and so I'm going to attach my zipper. And how I'm going to do this is, here's the head and tab of my zipper, and I definitely want it to be on this side. So I'm going to flip it over so the right side of the zipper is with the right side of my little pouch here. And if I wanted the zipper to be on the other side, I just flip it over like this, and then I flip it like that. But I'm going to do this side. And you want this side of the zipper to be flush with the top of the fabric right here. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure that my tabs, or the end of my zipper here, is matched up with the edge here. If this part hangs over, that's all right. We're just going to make sure that this side is lined up, because we can always cut off that. This is the end of the zipper here, so this is all excess. So I'm just going to pin it like that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to sew right along the top or the side of the zipper here. So here's the teeth right in the middle, and we're going to be right along the side. So then let me just put another pin in. Once we've done this side, it'll flip, and you'll see the teeth of the zippers right here, and the fabric should line up real close to the edge of the teeth. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this, and then I'm going to bring it back to the sewing machine so we can start sewing that. And then we just have to do the same thing with the other side, with the top of our pouch. I'm ready to sew my zipper, and I switched to my machine zipper foot here so I can get as close to the zipper as possible. You're just going to do a regular stitch. And then once you get, because this is a very short zipper, so it won't take you very long to sew it, but once you get more than halfway and you're getting towards the head of the zipper, which makes it a little hard to sew because it can't get under the foot, what I do is I put my needle down, I lift my foot. I'm going to take out these pins right here because it's going to make it easier. And then I unzip the zipper, slide it past my foot. I'm going to stick another pin in like that. Alright, put the foot down, and then I can sew the remainder of the zipper without that zipper tab getting in the way. And that's how you do that. So once I'm done, which I'm almost in right now, okay, let me just get a couple back stitches, and I'll pull this out for you to see. I'm going to again press this open like this, and all this seam here is going to get pressed towards the brown fabric here, just like you did with your corner pieces. So then it's going to look like this, and underneath all this is going to be pressed one way towards the bottom of the pouch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to attach the top front of my pouch here to my zipper. So what I'm going to do, since I want to match up the bottom edge of this with the top part of the zipper here, and I've already trimmed off the excess of my zipper tape there. So I'm going to do is just flip it like this, and I'm actually going to flip this whole thing over so you can see the zipper. And so you want this to line up with the edge of the zipper tape, and then pin it. And just like we did before, after we pin this, we're then going to stitch right alongside of the zipper with our zipper foot. So I'm going to just put a few more pins in there, like that. I'm going to put one over here. Okay, and so then once this is sewn, it's going to look something like that. So I'm just going to bring it over to the machine now so I can sew that. I'm now going to sew the other side of my zipper, and because I'm starting at the point where I had my zipper head at the top, I went ahead and opened it so it's at the bottom. And so once I get to the halfway part, I'm then going to zip up my zipper so it's closed, so then that zipper tab will be out of the way. So I'd say that's good. So again, I'm going to put my needle down, lift my foot. I put my needle down so I don't lose my place and the fabric stays underneath the machine where it's supposed to. So I'm going to zip this close like that. Put my foot back down, and then continue sewing. And again, you're going to press this open, but this time the seam allowance here is going to be pressed towards the top of the pouch, just so it doesn't overlap in the opening of the zipper. You're going to want to make sure that your iron is not too hot, probably at the synthetic setting, because the teeth of the zipper is not made out of metal anymore, so we don't want to melt that. If you melt it, then you're not going to be able to open and shut your zipper. Okay, so that's done. I did a couple back stitches, and I'm just going to press this open. So it's going to be pressed open like this, with this part of the seam allowance being pressed towards the top here. And then we just have one more part to sew, and then we're done with this. So now all we have left is to attach the back of our pouch to the front part. And so you're going to take this and flip it over so both are right side to right side. But before I do that, I'm going to open up my zipper all the way like that. And the reason is because this is my hole for flipping the whole thing right side out, because we're going to stitch all the way around, and then we're going to put our hand through here and flip the whole thing right side out. And you're going to make sure that this part of the zipper is going to be closed like that when you pin it. So all I'm going to do is flip this like this. I'm going to start in this corner. And I'm just going to pin all the way around. And then we're going to take it to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch it. So here's the other side. It's all pinned up all the way around, and this is the area where you're going to want to make sure that the sides of the zipper are close together, and then you're just going to pin that, and it's ready to be sewn. So I'm going to take it over to the machine now. I'm going to go ahead and start stitching all the way around, and you're just going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And the only thing you really need to watch out for is that zipper tab that's on one side. If you feel like it's going to get in the way of your foot, you can go ahead and close it a little. Just make sure it's big enough for you to then get your hand in there to open it up and then to flip it right side out again. So once I get to this corner here, I think that's a 1/2 inch, I'm going to put my foot down, I'm going to lift my foot, and then I'm just going to pivot the fabric like that. And then once we get to this point, there's only a few quick things we need to do in order to finish our snack bag. So I finished stitching around the whole perimeter of that, and the next step now is to clip my corners. This is so the fabric doesn't bunch up in the corner and it'll stay flat. So I'm just going to carefully clip them like this without cutting my stitches because I don't want to create a hole right there in the corner. So I'm going to do that on all 4 corners like that. And then one more. Okay, so that's the back, this is the front, and all that needs to be done is just to flip this right side out, like this. And once you have it all turned out, you can take it to the iron again, just kind of press it flat so it looks complete. So mine's a bit wrinkly there. But yeah, all I need to do is just take it to the iron. And if you feel like some of your corners aren't coming out, like this one is kind of still in there a little bit, just take a straight pen and I very carefully just kind of pull that corner out there. This one's kind of stuck in there too. And that's all there is to it. Here's the completed snack pouch now, and you'll see that you can just unzip it, zip it back up. You can put anything in there that you want. I like to use mine for snacks that I'm taking in my lunch bag. Here's the back side, and it's been pressed, so it's lying nice and flat now, and that's all there is to it.